Welcome back to our channel. Today we've got a truly wild ride through the news cycle for you. 10 stories so sensational, so viral, so utterly baffling that frankly, you'd think we were making them up. But alas no, this is the world we live in now. We've got trade wars and tariffs that would make even the most seasoned economist break out in hives. We've got political maneuvering that's somehow both predictable and utterly shocking. And yes, because even in the darkest timelines we need some light relief, we've got a paddling dachshund. So buckle up, dear viewers, because we're diving headfirst into the absurdity. Let's go. Right then, first up, let's talk tariffs, because apparently it's not enough to just slap a 25% tax on something. We're going full Spinal Tap and cranking it up to 11, or in this case, 104%. Yes, you heard that right. The Trump administration, in their infinite wisdom, have decided to impose a 104% tariff on certain Chinese goods. Now, I'm no trade expert, but even I know that slapping a tax that's literally bigger than the product's value is going to cause some, shall we say, complications. This whole thing started, as these things often do, with a disagreement. China put tariffs on some US goods, the US retaliated, and now we're locked in this bizarre economic standoff that's making everyone nervous. The problem is, while the politicians are busy playing chicken with the global economy, it's regular people who are going to feel the pinch. Prices are going up, businesses are struggling, and the only winners seem to be the folks who manufacture antacids in bulk. So yeah, not exactly a great start, is it? But hey, at least we're not... Oh wait, never mind. So, China's response to this whole tariff kerfuffle can basically be summed up as, oh, you want to play tough? Two can play at that game. They've vowed to fight till the end, which, let's be honest, is a pretty bold statement when you're talking about a trade war with a country that seems determined to bankrupt itself. Look, I get it. Nobody likes being told what to do, especially not by a country with a history of, shall we say, meddling in other countries' affairs. But the problem is, this whole eye for an eye approach rarely ends well. It's like watching two toddlers fight over a toy. They both end up bruised, exhausted, and with nothing to show for it except a broken plastic truck and a deep sense of resentment. And the worst part? Just like those toddlers, neither side seems willing to back down. It's a recipe for disaster, and the only question is, who's going to blink first? Okay, time for a hard swerve away from the trade war, because apparently, while the rest of the world is trying to move towards renewable energy, the US is busy trying to resurrect the coal industry. Yes, you read that right. President Trump, a man who seems to think climate change is a hoax invented by the Chinese, who ironically are now our economic rivals, is about to sign executive orders aimed at propping up the very industry that's choking our planet. Now, I'm all for job creation, but not when those jobs involve literally digging our own graves. And the justification for this whole thing is just mind-boggling. Apparently, we need more coal to power all the data centers and electric cars that are going to be popping up in the coming years. So, to recap, we're going to pollute the planet with coal in order to power the technology that's supposed to save us from pollution? It's enough to make your head spin. And frankly, I'm starting to think that's the point. Chapter 4. The stock market's having a normal one. Spoiler alert, it's not. Remember that whole trade war thing we were talking about? Yeah, it turns out the stock market is not a fan. In fact, it's currently throwing a tantrum of epic proportions, with stocks plummeting faster than a lead balloon filled with bad decisions. Look, I'll be honest, I don't understand the stock market. It's basically a giant casino where people gamble on the future of companies they've never heard of, and the only rule seems to be buy low, sell high, which is great advice unless you have absolutely no idea what you're doing. But even I can tell that when the stock market starts freaking out, it's usually a sign that something is very, very wrong. And right now, everything seems to be screaming, abandon ship. So, yeah, if you're invested in the stock market, you might want to grab a stiff drink and maybe a stress ball. And if you're not invested in the stock market, well, congratulations on being one of the few people who actually understands how this whole thing works. Chapter 5. Finally, some good news, this dachshund knows how to relax. Okay, enough doom and gloom for one video. Let's take a break from the impending economic collapse and political turmoil to appreciate something truly pure and wholesome. A dachshund paddling in a pool. Yes, you read that right. There's a video going viral on TikTok, because of course it's on TikTok, of a dachshund lazily paddling around in a pool, its little legs barely skimming the water. And honestly, it's the most relaxing thing I've seen all week. This dog has it figured out. No cares in the world, just floating around soaking up the sun. It's the embodiment of living your best life, and frankly, we could all learn a thing or two from this canine connoisseur of chill. So yeah, the world might be falling apart around us, but at least we have this paddling dachshund to remind us that sometimes, it's okay to just float. Chapter 6. NATO loses its only female military committee member. Coincidence? Remember when we were talking about the Trump administration's questionable decisions? Yeah, well, buckle up because we're going back there. Over the weekend, Shoshana Chatfield, the only woman on NATO's military committee, was unceremoniously shown the door. Now, the official reason for her removal is, shall we say, unclear, but the timing of it all is, shall we say, suspicious. This is the same administration that's been accused of waging a war on women's rights, so you'll forgive me if I'm not exactly buying the whole nothing to see here routine. It's just another example of how this administration seems determined to roll back progress wherever they find it, and frankly it's exhausting. Remember how I said earlier that the world might be falling apart? Yeah, well, it seems like America's decided to take that literally. Because right now, over 1,200 cities across the country are engulfed in protests. People are fed up with the political gridlock, fed up with the social injustice, fed up with the feeling that their voices aren't being heard, and they're taking to the streets to make their voices heard. Now I know what you're thinking. Protests never solve anything. And you know what? You're right. They don't. At least, not on their own. But what they do is shine a light on the issues that need addressing. They force people to pay attention. And sometimes, that's all it takes to spark real change. So yeah, things might seem bleak right now. But when I see the passion and the determination of the people out there fighting for a better future, I can't help but feel a glimmer of hope. Chapter 8. Deported by mistake. Just another day in the US immigration system. This next story is so absurd, so utterly Kafkaesque, that it almost feels like it belongs in a dystopian novel. A man in Maryland was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. Yes, you read that right. Deported by mistake. Apparently there was some confusion, some paperwork got mixed up, and the next thing you know, this guy is on a plane to a country he hasn't lived in for years. Now I'm no immigration lawyer, but even I know that deporting someone by mistake is a pretty big deal. It's like accidentally throwing out your winning lottery ticket, except instead of losing money, you're losing your entire life. Thankfully, the Supreme Court has stepped in to pause the deportation, but the fact that it even got this far is a damning indictment of the US immigration system. Chapter 9. Iran and the US talking, don't get your hopes up just yet. In a surprising turn of events, Iran and the US are apparently engaging in indirect talks about Tehran's nuclear program. Now before you get too excited, let me be clear, this is not exactly a sign that world peace is just around the corner. These talks are indirect, which basically means they're happening through intermediaries like two people trying to have a conversation through a series of increasingly confused pigeons. And even if they do manage to agree on something, there's no guarantee that either side will actually stick to the deal. Remember that whole Iran nuclear deal thing that the Trump administration pulled out of? Yeah, that doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Still, it's something. And in a world where even the smallest glimmer of hope is a precious commodity, I'll take what I can get. Chapter 10. Shiny diamonds, the perfect distraction from global collapse. And finally, because we all need a little escapism in our lives, let's talk about something sparkly. Diamonds. Yes, in the midst of all this chaos and uncertainty, a collection of rare diamonds has been unveiled, captivating the world with their brilliance and reminding us that sometimes, there are still beautiful things in the world. Now, I'm not saying that diamonds are the answer to all our problems. They won't solve climate change, they won't bring about world peace, and they certainly won't balance the budget. But for a few fleeting moments, they allow us to forget about the troubles of the world and just marvel at their beauty, and sometimes that's all we need. Outrow, that's all folks! But seriously, things are weird right now. Well, there you have it folks. 10 stories that perfectly encapsulate the utter absurdity of the world we live in. From trade wars to paddling dachshunds, from political scandals to glimmering diamonds, it's been a wild ride. But hey, at least we're all in this together, right? Right? Stay tuned for more updates in our 10 Interesting Facts Sensational and Viral series. bringing you the most engaging stories from around the nation. Please like and subscribe.